Charles Vandoil Byrd, a 49-year-old Texas man and former school district plumber, was arrested in July 2025 for the murder of his wife, Angela Byrd, whose decomposing body was found wrapped in plastic in their Bexar County home. His crimes include a violent altercation that led to her death, followed by over a month of living with her corpse while masking the stench. In this documentary, we probe the dark corners of his psyche through the lens of psychology and psychoanalysis, dissecting what drove him to commit such a gruesome act. Why focus on Charles Byrd? Because his crime isn't just horrifying, it's a psychological enigma that demands unraveling. His chilling confession, "Go big or go home," uttered to investigators, reveals a mind that saw murder as a twisted debut into crime. Imagine this. June 16, 2025, a quiet mobile home on Pleasant Road. Angela Byrd, 44, lies dead after a brutal fight with her husband. Charles doesn't call for help. Instead, he wraps her body in blankets, carpet, and plastic, binding it with ratchet straps like a grotesque package. For over 30 days, he lives alongside her decaying corpse, lying to family about the stench, tossing a mattress to hide evidence, and acting like nothing's wrong. This isn't just a murder. It's a macabre performance of denial and control, making Byrd a chilling case study in the psychology of violence. To understand Charles Byrd, we need to dig into his past, because killers like him aren't born, they're shaped. We don't know much on his childhood, but what we know about his adult life screams red flags. A plumber for the Floresville Independent School District since 2021, Byrd was a familiar face in his South Bexar County community, fixing pipes and chatting with neighbors. But beneath this normalcy was a man capable of unimaginable horror. Psychologically, this kind of duality suggests compartmentalization, a defense mechanism where someone splits their life into good and evil parts to avoid facing their darkness. Freud's theory of the ID fits here. That raw, primal urge for aggression or control, unchecked by a weak superego, the moral voice that keeps most of us in line. If Byrd grew up in an environment where boundaries were blurry or emotions were suppressed, his ability to feel guilt might have been stunted early on. His lack of prior arrests, as he boasted to investigators, hints at a man who prided himself on staying under the radar. But this clean record doesn't mean a clean psyche. Psychoanalytically, Byrd's "go big or go home" comment suggests a narcissistic streak, someone who craves significance, even if it's through infamy. Narcissistic personality disorder could be at play. People with NPD often feel entitled, lack empathy, and react explosively when their self-image is threatened. Something in his marriage to Angela, maybe a fight, maybe her defiance, lit a fuse that had been waiting to blow. Byrd's life in Bexar County seemed ordinary. He lived in a mobile home with Angela, his wife of an unknown duration, and was close enough to his stepson, Jared Byrd, to confide in him. But his job as a plumber, while stable, didn't involve direct contact with students, suggesting a solitary streak. Neighbors described him as a familiar face, who'd done plumbing jobs for years, yet no one suspected the horror brewing inside his home. This disconnect points to what psychologists call a false self, a mask of normalcy that hides a fractured inner world. Byrd's ability to live with Angela's corpse for over a month, lying to family about the smell, screams dissociation, a mental state where someone detaches from reality to cope with their actions. He wasn't just hiding a body, he was hiding from himself. Psychoanalytically, this dissociation might stem from unresolved trauma or shame. Maybe Byrd felt trapped in his marriage or his life, and killing Angela was a twisted way to reclaim control. His claim of a mental break to reporters suggests a moment where his defenses crumbled, but don't buy it too quick. Killers often play the victim to dodge accountability. His cooperation with police, described as matter-of-fact by Sheriff Javier Salazar, hints at a sociopathic lack of remorse, where guilt is replaced by cold pragmatism. Sociopaths feel little for others, seeing them as tools or obstacles. Angela, in Byrd's mind, became the latter. Why Angela? She wasn't a random stranger. She was his wife, someone he shared a home and life with. Psychologically, intimate partner homicide often stems from a need for control or revenge. Angela, at 44, was likely a central figure in Byrd's world, making her both a source of comfort and a potential threat. Psychoanalytically, she might have represented a projection of his inner conflicts, Maybe his failures, his fears, or his rage. Freud's concept of transference fits here. Byrd could have seen Angela as a symbol of something he needed to destroy to feel whole. Her death wasn't just about ending her life. It was about erasing a part of himself he couldn't face. The trigger, we can guess, was a violent encounter on June 16th, 2025, that Byrd admitted to. Maybe Angela confronted him about something, money, infidelity, or a personal slight, for someone with narcissistic or sociopathic traits. Such a challenge is unbearable. It's called a narcissistic injury, a wound to the ego that sparks rage. Byrd's choice to kill her, rather than walk away, suggests a need to dominate, to prove he was still in charge. Living with her body afterward wasn't just practical, it was a perverse extension of that control, keeping her with him even in death. June 16, 2025, a mobile home on Pleasanton Road, Bexar County. The air is heavy with summer heat, but inside, it's about to get heavier. Charles Byrd and Angela are fighting. Maybe it's shouting, maybe it's worse. Then, in a flash, it turns deadly. We don't know the exact weapon or method yet. The medical examiner's report is still pending. But Byrd admitted to a violent encounter that ended her life. Picture the scene. Angela's body crumples to the floor, blood pooling, her last breath gone. But Byrd doesn't panic. He grabs blankets, carpet, plastic, and ratchet straps, wrapping her like a mummy, sealing her in a tomb of household junk. The stench of decay grows, but he stays, lying to family, tossing a mattress to distract from the smell, living with her corpse for 32 days. It's not just murder, it's a descent into madness. The act of hiding her body is chillingly deliberate. He used cleaning products, blankets, and trash bags to mask the odor, as Sheriff Salazar noted, showing a calculated effort to delay discovery. This wasn't a crime of passion. It was a project. Psychologically, this suggests obsessive-compulsive tendencies, where Byrd fixated on control in the aftermath. His go big or go home comment, as reported by Salazar, reveals a twisted pride in his crime, like he saw it as a performance. "I'm so sorry. I love my wife," he mumbled to KSAT reporters, but his actions, living with her rotting body, scream anything but love. So what's going on in Byrd's head? He likely fits the profile of a narcissistic sociopath with traits of antisocial personality disorder. Sociopaths lack empathy, manipulate others, and feel little guilt, often acting impulsively or for personal gain. Byrd's calm confession and flippant "go big" or "go home" remarks suggest this lack of remorse. His claim of a mental break might point to a dissociative episode, where he detached from the reality of his actions, but it's more likely a convenient excuse. Narcissism also looms large. His need to go big screams a craving for significance, even through horror. People with NPD often see themselves as above others, justifying their actions as necessary or deserved. Psychoanalytically, Byrd's behavior suggests a regression to a primitive state, where his ID, those raw, aggressive impulses, overpowered any moral restraint. His choice to live with Angela's body could reflect a necrophilic tendency, not in a sexual sense, but in a need to keep her as a trophy of his control. His cooperation with police, described as matter of fact, aligns with sociopathic detachment. He wasn't confessing out of guilt, but because he knew the game was up. Sheriff Salazar noted his chilling demeanor. He was very matter-of-fact as he described his violent encounter. That's not a man wrestling with regret. That's a man who sees murder as just another day. The crime scene was a house of horrors. On July 19, 2025, deputies arrived at Byrd's mobile home after his stepson, Jared Byrd, reported his confession. The air was thick with a foul odor of rotting flesh, as Salazar described. Inside, they found a plastic-wrapped bundle, blankets, carpet, and ratchet straps encasing Angela's skeletal remains, swarmed by flies. The body was so decomposed it took the medical examiner to confirm her identity. Jared hadn't seen Angela since Father's Day, June 15th, and initially thought the smell was a septic issue. But on July 18th, Charles approached him outside, saying, "I killed her," prompting Jared to flee and call police from a nearby Whataburger. Neighbors were stunned. Esther Martinez, who owns a church next door, told KSAT, "It's sad, because they're your neighbors and you didn't even know what was going on inside their home." She learned of the body's month-long presence from news reports adding, "I can't get out of my mind. It's so devastating." Another neighbor, Roy Martinez, compared the smell to his Vietnam War memories, saying, "It really hit a spot." These accounts paint a picture of a community blindsided by horror, with Byrd's normalcy as a plumber masking his darkness. The investigation kicked into high gear on July 19, 2025, after Jared's call. Deputies swarmed the Pleasanton Road home, detecting the stench immediately. A search warrant revealed the wrapped body, and a manhunt began for Byrd. SWAT teams rammed to the property's gate, detaining 2 others who were cleared. Byrd was found hiding in a vacant home a mile away, surrendering without a fight. His cooperation was eerie. He detailed the June 16th altercation, admitting he expected to be caught but wanted to prolong the process. As Salazar noted, media outlets like Fox News, The Independent, and KSAT exploded with coverage. "Go big or go home," blared headlines, quoting Byrd's chilling words. Posts echoed the shock, with a Cab Fox 29 tweeting, "Bexar County Sheriff's deputies have arrested Charles Byrd, a man accused of killing his wife and hiding her remains for more than a month." The public was horrified, with users like at Top 4916 noting his confession's brutality. The case sparked debates about mental health and domestic violence, with Salazar's press conference fueling outrage over Byrd's casual demeanor. Byrd's arrest on July 20th, 2025, was swift. Found in a vacant home he knew from past plumbing jobs, he surrendered to SWAT without resistance. Charged with tampering with evidence with intent to impair a human corpse, a second-degree felony, he faces up to 20 years. Murder charges are pending, awaiting the medical examiner's ruling on Angela's cause of death. As he was led to a patrol car, Byrd told KSAT, "I'm so sorry. I love my wife and asked not to be defined by this accident." But his actions, living with her corpse for 32 days, tell a different story. He's held at Bexar County Jail on $200,000 bail, awaiting a mental health evaluation. What does Charles Byrd's crime say about the human condition? Philosophically, he embodies Hannah Arendt's banality of evil, an ordinary man, a plumber, a neighbor, choosing a monstrous act without apparent motive beyond going big. His life was a series of small, unremarkable choices until he made the ultimate one, to kill and conceal. Existentially, Byrd's actions reflect a search for meaning through destruction, a twisted bid for significance in a life that felt small. His "go big or go home" quip reveals a man who saw murder as a performance, not a tragedy. His jail cell, where he awaits his fate, is a fitting end, not because it punishes him, but because it strips away the control he craved. The question lingers: how many others hide their darkness behind a neighborly smile, waiting for their moment to go big?